In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court has declared the electoral bond scheme unconstitutional. This pivotal judgment uncloaks a system that allowed unlimited political donations from corporations, masked behind the veil of anonymity. The court deemed this veil to be a violation of voters' right to information. In upholding the principles of transparency and constitutional integrity, the court criticized the scheme for its potential to foster corruption and economic inequality. The scheme was seen as favoring corporations over citizens in the electoral process, thus undermining the democratic spirit. The court's verdict also reverberated through the corridors of the State Bank of India, as it was directed to cease issuing electoral bonds. Additionally, the bank has been ordered to provide purchase details to the Election Commission, shedding light on the financial contributions made to political parties. This unequivocal decision by the Supreme Court has struck at the heart of a deep nexus between money and politics. It emphasizes the urgent need for transparency in political funding, a cornerstone for a healthy democracy. This decision is a significant step towards transparency in political funding. The path to this groundbreaking decision was not a smooth one. The journey began with the introduction of the Electoral Bonds Scheme, a financial instrument intended to streamline political donations. This scheme, however, quickly became a hotbed for controversy. The crux of the issue lay in the scheme's anonymity clause. This provision allowed corporations to donate unlimited funds to political parties without disclosing their identity. The idea was to protect contributors from potential backlash. However, critics argued that this lack of transparency could lead to a deep nexus between money and politics, undermining the very essence of democracy. As these concerns grew louder, a series of legal battles ensued. Advocates and activists challenged the scheme in various high courts across the nation, bringing the debate into the public eye. The discourse revolved around two primary concerns: the scheme's impact on transparency in political funding and the potential for corruption. The questions raised were profound. Could the anonymity clause lead to a quid pro quo scenario, with corporations influencing policy in return for their donations? Was the scheme promoting economic inequality by favoring corporations over citizens in the electoral process? And most importantly, did it violate voters' right to information, a fundamental tenet of a democratic society? These debates culminated in a landmark challenge in the Supreme Court. The petitioners argued that the scheme was unconstitutional and arbitrary. They contended that it violated democratic principles by obscuring the source of political funding and potentially enabling corruption. The defense, on the other hand, argued for the necessity of such a scheme. They maintained that it allowed for smoother political donations, reducing the influence of black money in politics. The anonymity clause, they said, was essential to protect contributors from potential retaliation. The arguments were compelling, the stakes high. The controversy had reached a boiling point, and the nation awaited a resolution. And thus, the stage was set for a decisive Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court's judgment was comprehensive and far-reaching. Diving into the heart of the decision, the court had some stern words for the electoral bonds scheme. It criticized the scheme for promoting corruption and economic inequality, pointing out that it allowed unlimited political donations from corporations. This, the court observed, tilted the scales of democracy, favoring corporations over citizens in the electoral process. The scheme became a tool for the wealthy to sway political outcomes, undermining the fundamental principle of equality in a democracy. The court also highlighted the deep nexus between money and politics. It stressed that such a nexus, when shrouded in secrecy, could erode public trust and breed corruption. The electoral bond scheme, with its veil of anonymity, was seen as a part of this problem. Transparency, the court emphasized, was key in political funding. It is the only way to ensure accountability and maintain the integrity of the democratic process. The court argued that the electoral bond scheme, with its anonymous contributions, was a stark departure from this principle of transparency. The verdict also underscored the importance of balancing the right to information of voters with the privacy of contributors. The court pointed out that the scheme's anonymity violated the voters' right to know who was funding the political parties they were voting for. This, it said, could lead to uninformed voting, which is detrimental to the democratic process. In conclusion, the court declared the electoral bond scheme unconstitutional and arbitrary. The State Bank of India was directed to cease issuing electoral bonds and provide purchase details to the Election Commission. In essence, the verdict was a strong indictment of the electoral bond scheme for lacking transparency and violating constitutional principles. The Supreme Court's verdict has profound implications for Indian democracy. This landmark ruling signals a significant shift in the dynamics of political funding. By striking down the electoral bond scheme, the court has taken a strong stand against unlimited political donations from corporations. This move disrupts the previous pattern of power concentration and seeks to level the playing field, favoring citizens over corporations in the electoral process. The decision also underscores the crucial role of transparency in political funding. By mandating the State Bank of India to provide purchase details to the Election Commission, the court has taken a step towards ensuring accountability in the electoral process. This move is expected to shed light on the often obscure nexus between money and politics, and could be a game-changer in the fight against corruption. Moreover, the judgment places a renewed emphasis on the voter's right to information. By deeming the scheme's anonymity unconstitutional, it asserts that the public has a right to know who is funding their political parties. This could lead to greater scrutiny of political donations and a more informed electorate. Indeed, this landmark decision has redefined the landscape of political funding in India. Thank you for watching our video on the fall of electoral bonds. We hope you found this deep dive into the verdict, its implications, and the aftermath as fascinating as we have. We're passionate about bringing you in-depth analysis of the most critical events shaping our world today. If you want to stay informed and get more insights into such monumental decisions, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We would also love to hear your thoughts on this verdict. Do you think it will lead to a more transparent political system? How do you think it will shape the future of political funding? Let's start a conversation. Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And remember, knowledge is power. Stay tuned for more. Until next time.